to be honest, was I never thought about Batman. It was always Bruce Wayne.
He once threw away $15 million just because he despised a terrible script. He vanished from Hollywood at the very moment the world was calling his name. And more than 30 years ago, when he was cast as Batman, thousands of fans erupted in fury, sending protest letters, even threatening the studio. He's going to kill Batman! But then Michael Keaton shattered all doubts, turned Batman into a cinematic icon, and redefined the superhero genre. Yet, that illustrious career was never the most important thing to Michael Keaton. While Hollywood celebrated him, he quietly stepped away. As superhero films took over the industry, he chose to live in the wilderness. Behind Batman's glory, behind the golden statues and accolades, what is it that Michael Keaton has truly spent his life chasing? Today, at 74, Michael Keaton finally speaks about the real love of his life. A woman who has stood by his side for years but has never made headlines. But is that truly his greatest secret? Michael John Douglas, better known by his stage name Michael Keaton, was born on September 5, 1951, in Coraopolis, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh. He was the youngest of 7 siblings, 3 older brothers and 3 older sisters in a working-class family. His father, George A. Douglas, was a civil engineer working in the coal industry, while his mother, Leona Elizabeth Loftus, was a homemaker of Irish descent. Growing up in a large family, Keaton quickly learned how to command attention, and his greatest weapon was humor. He was always the one making everyone laugh, not just to entertain, but to carve out his own space in a crowded household. Little did anyone know that this talent for comedy would later become a crucial part of his acting career. Though he had an early passion for the arts, Keaton's initial dream was to become a journalist. He spent hours devouring news and current affairs, not just absorbing the information, but becoming fascinated by how stories were told. Before stepping in front of the camera, Keaton had experiences few people know about. At 21, he worked at a Navajo reservation in New Mexico, a job that broadened his perspective on life, deepened his understanding of different cultures, and sharpened his observational skills, a trait that would later become invaluable in his acting career. But Keaton's true destiny lay behind the scenes of a film set. His first break came by chance. He started out as a props assistant on the iconic American children's show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. There, he had the opportunity to learn from Fred Rogers, the legendary host known for his warm and inspiring storytelling. This experience set Keaton on the path to acting, marking the beginning of his journey into the world of performance. When Michael Keaton stepped into the film industry, he encountered an unexpected yet simple obstacle: his name. At the time, Hollywood already had a Michael Douglas, the son of legendary actor Kirk Douglas, and a Mike Douglas, a well-known television host. To avoid confusion, he had to choose a new stage name. Without any connection to Buster Keaton or Diane Keaton, he simply picked the name because he liked how it sounded. A spontaneous decision, yet one that became a defining brand, propelling him into the ranks of Hollywood's most distinctive actors. Keaton's career began with small roles on stage and television. He appeared in the comedy series Working Stiffs, 1979, alongside Jim Belushi, but it wasn't until Night Shift, 1982, that he truly made an impact. In the film, he played Bill Blazejowski, a fast-talking, quick-witted morgue attendant with a knack for outrageous ideas. The movie not only gained attention, but also established Keaton's signature acting style. Comedic but never shallow, always brimming with explosive energy. This success quickly led him to a more commercially viable project, Mr. Mom, 1983, a comedy about a man who takes on the role of a stay-at-home dad after losing his job. While the premise seemed simple, Keaton's effortless charm and natural humor turned the film into a box office hit, proving that he had the charisma and talent to carry a leading role. Comedy put Keaton on Hollywood's radar as a rising star, but his biggest career breakthrough came from an entirely different kind of role: Beetlejuice. After a series of lighthearted performances, he unexpectedly received a challenging opportunity when director Tim Burton sought an actor who could embody the insanity, eccentricity, and humor of the ghostly trickster Beetlejuice in the film of the same name. Without any prior screen tests, Keaton walked onto the set and completely took ownership of the character in his own way. He personally crafted everything, from the raspy voice and bizarre mannerisms to the grotesque false teeth. Even the moldy, decayed appearance of Beetlejuice was Keaton's suggestion, reasoning that a ghost buried underground for too long should bear the marks of time. When Beetlejuice premiered in 1988, Keaton not only won over audiences, but also cemented himself as an actor with unparalleled versatility. The role caught the eye of Tim Burton, opening a new chapter in his career filled with unconventional, enigmatic characters. From a comedic actor known for playing quick-witted charmers, Keaton had successfully transformed into a legitimate film star capable of tackling complex, unconventional roles. Beyond live-action films, Keaton also had a noteworthy voice acting career, though it remains lesser known. He pursued voice acting simply because he enjoyed bringing animated characters to life. One of his standout performances was as Ken in Toy Story 3, 2010, the flashy, vain, yet hilariously over-the-top doll. With a voice that was both posh and delightfully clueless, Keaton turned Ken into one of the film's comedic highlights. In Minions, 2015, he showcased his versatility again, voicing Walter Nelson, a villainous yet comical character. In Cars, 2006, he embodied Chick Hicks, the ambitious and somewhat devious racer, adding a memorable dynamic to the movie. While he was never a full-time voice actor, Keaton's ability to seamlessly inhabit roles with natural creativity demonstrated his constant drive to explore and expand his craft. Clearly, Keaton is one of the rare artists who can fluidly transition between different genres, comedy, eccentricity, drama, and animation, without being confined to any single category. His talent lies not just in playing roles exceptionally well, but in his ability to transform seemingly simple characters into unforgettable icons. He is not just a movie star, he is a true artist, one who constantly pushes boundaries, reinvents himself, and leaves a lasting impact on every role he takes on. After Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton had left a strong impression on Tim Burton. So when the young director was entrusted by Warner Brothers to helm Batman, 1989, he didn't hesitate long before deciding who would don the black cape. Only Keaton could embody the deep solitude and emotional scars of Bruce Wayne. But this decision immediately sparked outrage. Thousands of fans sent letters protesting to Warner Brothers, declaring that the comedy actor from Mr. Mom would completely ruin Batman's image. At the time, Batman on screen was still closely associated with the lighthearted and somewhat campy portrayal by Adam West in the 1960s television series. When Keaton, an actor famous for his comedic style, was cast, many believed the film would be nothing more than a ridiculous parody. The backlash was so intense that the studio was forced to release the trailer earlier than planned, just to prove that this was no joke. If fans were disappointed, Keaton himself faced an even greater challenge. When he arrived in London for filming, he entered a period of extreme isolation. With no family around and no close friends on set, he lived alone in a cold apartment and struggled with months of insomnia. He later recounted how, each night, he would go running through the empty streets of London in the dark, exhausting himself in hopes of catching just a few hours of sleep before returning to set. But that very solitude allowed him to understand Bruce Wayne on a deeper level. A man haunted by his past, living in a vast mansion yet perpetually alone. This was also Michael Keaton during those filming days. Beyond the mental pressure, the Batman suit itself was another grueling challenge. The thick, rigid armor was so restrictive that Keaton couldn't even turn his head, forcing him to develop a stiff, deliberate movement style, one that would later become a defining trait of the character. Yet this unintended limitation ultimately helped shape a unique version of Batman. one who spoke little, made no unnecessary gestures, yet exuded an undeniable aura of power. And then, when Batman, 1989, finally premiered, all doubts vanished. The film wasn't just a commercial triumph, it redefined the entire superhero genre. The very audience that had mocked Keaton was now silenced as they watched him transform Bruce Wayne into a layered, brooding character unlike any previous iteration of Batman. The movie grossed over $400 million worldwide, turning Batman into a cultural phenomenon and elevating Keaton from a comedic actor to one of Hollywood's biggest stars. After the resounding success of Batman, 1989, Michael Keaton once again donned the black suit in Batman Returns, 1992. But contrary to what fans might have believed, Keaton never saw this as the role he cherished most. Batman was an icon, but for Keaton, it was never as creatively fulfilling as Beetlejuice. With that bizarre role, he had complete freedom to experiment, while Batman was a rigid character, confined by the heavy suit, limited action scenes, and a performance style that demanded restraint. However, his decision to return for Batman Returns wasn't just about money. Though he admitted that he needed financial stability for a real estate investment, he was also drawn to Tim Burton's evolving vision of Bruce Wayne. This time, Batman was no longer just a superhero, but a psychologically complex, haunted, and deeply layered character. That was what convinced Keaton to return. But everything changed when it came to Batman Forever, 1995. Tim Burton stepped down as director, passing the reins to Joel Schumacher, who wanted to reinvent Batman as a flashy, comedic, and highly commercialized figure. The moment Keaton read the script, he realized this new direction was not for him. He flat out refused the role, even when Warner Brothers offered him $15 million, an enormous sum at the time. Many wondered if Keaton's decision stemmed from artistic integrity or simply a lack of interest in the character. The truth likely lay in both. He was never someone who chased money or fame, and if a role didn't excite him, no amount of money could bring him back. Schumacher's Batman was too bright, too far removed from the brooding vision that Keaton and Burton had crafted. Rather than stay attached to a project he didn't believe in, he walked away. Val Kilmer replaced Keaton, but Batman Forever failed to replicate the success of its predecessors. While the film performed well at the box office, it was widely criticized for being overly colorful, lacking depth, and reducing Batman to an almost cartoonish figure. Keaton's decision to leave not only spared him from a weaker installment, but also preserved the dark, introspective, and enigmatic version of Batman that he had established. Keaton may never have loved Batman as a superhero, but his departure only solidified the legacy he left behind. And even after turning down an astronomical paycheck, he still emerged as the true winner. After turning down Batman Forever, 1995, Michael Keaton unexpectedly stepped away from the Hollywood spotlight. He no longer appeared in major blockbusters, didn't chase fame, and showed no concern for maintaining his A-list status. He had, for all intents and purposes, disappeared. At that time, many wondered, what had happened? How could an actor at the peak of his career, who once rejected a $15 million paycheck, suddenly withdraw from the entertainment industry? The truth was that Keaton had deliberately chosen a reclusive life. He distanced himself from film sets and spent his days on a 1,000-acre ranch in Montana, where he grew hay, raised cattle, and lived a quiet, simple life. He dedicated time to his family, especially his only son, Sean Douglas, who would later become a Grammy-winning musician. Keaton never officially announced his retirement, but he also had no interest in keeping up with the relentless pursuit of Hollywood stardom. He didn't disappear entirely. He took on occasional smaller roles, but none of them left a significant mark. Then, in 2014, Keaton made a comeback that could not have been more spectacular with Birdman. This was no ordinary film. It felt like a direct reflection of his own life. Keaton played Regan Thompson, an actor who had once been famous for portraying a superhero but had since been forgotten by Hollywood, now struggling to reclaim relevance through a Broadway play. The image of a former star trying to prove himself in a changed industry was, in many ways, Keaton's own story. The film was shot in what appeared to be one continuous take, with seamless, unbroken scenes that demanded absolute immersion from the actors. Keaton described it as the most challenging role of his career, but also a chance to prove that he had never lost his talent. Birdman became a massive success, earning 9 Academy Award nominations, including Best Actor for Keaton. Just a year later, Keaton made another powerful statement with Spotlight, 2015, a film chronicling the Boston Globe's groundbreaking investigation into the Catholic Church's sexual abuse scandal. The film won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and once again, Keaton proved that he was far more than just Batman. He was a formidable actor with real depth and skill. From a man who had seemingly vanished from Hollywood to an Oscar nominee starring in some of the decade's most acclaimed films, Keaton had shown that his absence wasn't the end. It was merely the prelude to an extraordinary return. And his journey didn't stop there. In 2017, he stepped back into the superhero genre, but this time as the villain Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming. After conquering the screen with unforgettable performances, Michael Keaton took on a completely new challenge, his first time in the director's chair. The project that marked this milestone was Knox Goes Away, 2023, the first film where Keaton not only directed but also played the lead role. A crime thriller, the film follows a professional assassin suffering from dementia, attempting to pull off one last job before his memory completely fades. Keaton admitted that juggling both directing and acting was an overwhelming task. He constantly had to shift between two roles, immersing himself in the character while simultaneously overseeing everything on set. "At times, I forgot where I was in the story," he shared. "I had to rely on people to remind me whether this scene happened before or after a certain event because my mind was split, one half thinking like a director, the other fully inhabiting the character." Despite the challenges, Knox Goes Away caught the attention of audiences and critics alike. Some reviews praised the film as an outstanding neo-noir, beautifully shot, with a compelling script and emotionally charged performances. One IMDb reviewer noted, "This film is fantastic, beautifully shot, great acting, excellent script, masterful storytelling, and seamless editing. I loved every moment." However, not all reviews were favorable. Robert Daniels of RogerEbert.com criticized it as a cold character study, drowned by an overly predictable script. Though met with mixed reactions, Knox Goes Away demonstrated Keaton's creative ambition and fearless transition into directing. This was more than just another film. It was a defining moment in his career. After more than 40 years in the industry, from comedic roles to superheroes, from villains to deeply complex dramatic characters, Keaton had finally achieved a long-held goal, becoming a filmmaker in his own right. Knox Goes Away may not have been a box office smash or universally praised, but it was a significant step forward in Keaton's career. From an actor who once vanished from Hollywood, he had now not only returned but was leading a film of his own. And that is the essence of Michael Keaton, constantly seeking new challenges, always stepping outside his comfort zone to prove that he has never stopped evolving. So what about you? Are you willing to challenge yourself, to step out of your comfort zone and explore new possibilities? Michael Keaton dared to break the mold, to embrace difficulties in order to reinvent himself. And perhaps that is what makes life truly meaningful. Do you agree that sometimes we must take risks to truly grow? Truly? If his career was defined by soaring heights and spectacular comebacks, his personal life was marked by loss, regret, and complex relationships. Despite the image of a Hollywood star surrounded by romance, Keaton married only once. The woman who shared that chapter of his life was Caroline McWilliams, a talented actress who never quite reached the heights of stardom. They were together from 1982 to 1990 and had a son, Sean Douglas. But like many Hollywood couples, their marriage was not destined to last forever. In 1990, Keaton and Caroline divorced, marking a turning point in the actor's life. Yet surprisingly, they never truly drifted apart. After their separation, Keaton never remarried, and Caroline also chose to remain single. She devoted herself to her career and to raising their son, Sean Douglas, who would later become a Grammy-winning songwriter. Keaton and his ex-wife remained close friends, co-parenting Sean with mutual respect, and Keaton always spoke of Caroline with the utmost admiration. Then, in 2010, tragedy struck. Caroline McWilliams passed away due to complications from multiple myeloma at the age of 64. Keaton, known for his private nature and reluctance to reveal personal emotions, made a rare exception in an interview, saying, "Sean is an incredible man because he had a mother like Caroline." So, after his one and only marriage, who did Keaton love? His romantic history, shrouded in mystery, filled with complexities, and laced with untold stories, might just surprise you. After his marriage with Caroline McWilliams ended, Michael Keaton had several notable relationships, but one of the most intriguing names linked to him was Michelle Pfeiffer. They weren't just lovers, they were also colleagues on the big screen. Yet one question has lingered for years. Why did Keaton oppose Pfeiffer playing Vicky Vale in Batman, 1989, only to work with her 3 years later in Batman Returns, 1992? In reality, Keaton and Pfeiffer began dating in the late 1980s, but had a brief relationship. When Warner Brothers considered Pfeiffer for the female lead in Batman, Keaton strongly objected. Multiple industry sources, including actor Robert Wuhl, who played journalist Alexander Knox in the film, revealed that Keaton didn't want to feel uncomfortable on set after their breakup. But that wasn't the only reason. According to Geek Tyrant, Keaton was attempting to reconcile with his ex-wife, Caroline McWilliams at the time, and didn't want his connection with Pfeiffer to complicate that effort. Producer John Peters and Keaton reportedly had a heated debate over the issue. In the end, Warner Brothers decided to cast someone else, ultimately choosing Kim Basinger for the role of Vicky Vale. However, just 3 years later, Keaton agreed to star alongside Pfeiffer in Batman Returns, 1992, surprising many. What had changed? In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Pfeiffer revealed that having a history with Keaton actually made her feel more at ease working with him. She admitted, "I wasn't sure how it would feel to see Michael again, but in reality, I felt very safe acting alongside him." Keaton, too, no longer had reservations. First, by then, he had completely moved on from his past marriage, leaving no reason to avoid Pfeiffer. Second, he recognized that she was the perfect choice for Catwoman. Tim Burton had auditioned several actresses, including Annette Bening, but none captured the seductive danger of the character, quite like Pfeiffer. That didn't mean everything went smoothly on set. One of the most memorable scenes in Batman Returns was the moment Catwoman licked Batman's face. What most people don't know is that this wasn't in the script. According to Collider, Pfeiffer improvised the move, catching Keaton completely off guard. But instead of breaking character, he maintained Batman's composed demeanor, creating an iconic moment on screen. After the film, their relationship remained strictly professional. Pfeiffer married producer David E. Kelley in 1993 and gradually stepped away from Hollywood to focus on her family. Keaton, on the other hand, continued to maintain an intensely private dating life. After his romance with Michelle Pfeiffer ended, Michael Keaton entered a new relationship, this time with Courtney Cox, the future star of Friends. But what few people know is that they got together long before Cox became famous, and at one point, many believed they would eventually marry. They met in 1989 when Keaton was already a household name, while Cox was still a young actress searching for her big break. Their connection came through a mutual friend after Cox expressed her admiration for Keaton's performance in Clean and Sober, 1988. From their very first meeting, they talked for 5 hours straight, discussing everything from their passions and careers to the dream homes they hoped to build one day. That first date didn't take place at a fancy restaurant or on the red carpet. It was simply at Cox's home, where Keaton preferred to keep things private, away from the prying eyes of paparazzi. Their relationship gradually became serious, lasting 6 years, longer than any of Keaton's other romances. Engagement rumors swirled, and many of their friends believed this would be Keaton's happy ending after his failed marriage to Caroline McWilliams. But then, in 1995, they unexpectedly parted ways. What happened? There was no scandal, no betrayal, just irreconcilable differences. According to some sources, Keaton and Cox were in 2 very different stages of their lives. He was an actor past his peak, contemplating stepping away from Hollywood, while she was on the rise, eager to cement her place in the industry. At the time, Friends had just completed its first season, and Cox was rapidly becoming one of the most sought-after actresses on television. They still loved each other, but they were headed in opposite directions. Cox later admitted that they both tried to make it work. But sometimes love just isn't enough. She told people, "Michael is the most wonderful man I've ever met. He has an incredible sense of humor and always made me laugh, even when I was furious." Interestingly, even after the breakup, Cox's mother still hoped they would reconcile. In an interview, she shared, "They always tried to change for each other, but maybe they should have just accepted one another as they were and simply gotten married." But that never happened. After parting ways with Keaton, Cox continued to rise in fame, becoming a household name with friends. Meanwhile, Keaton entered a different phase of his life, one where he gradually withdrew from Hollywood, choosing a quieter, more private existence rather than chasing the spotlight. After high-profile relationships and years under the spotlight, Michael Keaton chose a different path, a life of privacy, tranquility, and distance from Hollywood's gossip-fueled culture. Yet, despite his efforts to keep his personal life out of the public eye, one woman has quietly stood by his side for nearly a decade: Marnie Turner. Unlike Michelle Pfeiffer or Courtney Cox, Turner is not a Hollywood star. She does not work in the entertainment industry, does not appear in tabloids, and has never used her relationship with Keaton to seek attention. Perhaps that is precisely why she has become an irreplaceable part of his life. Their relationship reportedly began around 2014, but it wasn't until 2016 that the media caught wind of it, when they were spotted together at a pre-Oscar party. It was the first time in years that Keaton had been publicly seen with a romantic partner. Later that year, Turner accompanied him to his Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony, marking a significant moment that signaled she was more than just a fleeting presence in his life. Though she rarely appears in public, Turner has been by Keaton's side during his most defining moments. In 2022, when Keaton won an Emmy for his role in Dopesick, Turner was there backstage, waiting to celebrate with him. Later that year, they were photographed holding hands while strolling through Los Angeles, a quiet yet telling moment. In 2023, she once again joined Keaton at the Vanity Fair Oscar party, turning heads with her elegant style while further solidifying her role in the life of the Hollywood legend. Keaton has admitted that he loves Turner's understated sophistication, particularly her refined but unpretentious fashion sense. But the most unexpected moment came in 2024, when Michael Keaton for the first time broke his silence. In a rare public declaration, he admitted, "Marnie Turner is the greatest love of my life." A simple statement, yet one carrying the weight of a lifetime, words Keaton had never spoken about any woman before. After years of ups and downs, fleeting romances, and heartbreak, it seems that he has finally found someone to walk alongside him for the rest of his journey. At 73, fame is no longer his priority. He has chosen a life of peace with the woman he loves. After nearly a decade together, Does Keaton consider marrying again? He has never publicly commented on it, but given how inseparable they have been, many believe this is no temporary relationship. Could this be the perfect ending for a Hollywood legend? What do you think of Michael Keaton's private yet profound love story? Perhaps true happiness doesn't need to be loud or extravagant. It's found in the quiet moments with someone who truly understands you. Some actors are forever tied to a single role, while others continuously reinvent themselves. Michael Keaton belongs to the latter. For more than 4 decades, he hasn't just been a movie star, he has been a transformative artist, evolving from a comedic actor to a compelling villain, to the man who redefined the superhero genre. Whether as Batman, Birdman, or any other character, Keaton has always brought something unique to the screen. Keaton's contributions to cinema are not only recognized through his iconic roles, but also immortalized with his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2016. Yet, what sets him apart isn't just the films he's been a part of, it's how he perceives the world. He isn't an actor who simply lives under the spotlight. He has strong political convictions and has openly supported Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders. To him, politics isn't a game of power. It's a personal responsibility, a stance not all celebrities are willing to take. Beyond the screen, Keaton has always been committed to humanitarian causes. The devastating loss of his nephew to drug addiction turned him into an active advocate for organizations fighting substance abuse, helping to raise awareness about the opioid crisis in America. He doesn't just speak out, he takes action, using his platform to push for real change, especially through Dopesick, a project he considered a wake-up call for the entire country. Even in his 70s, Keaton continues to surprise audiences. In 2023, he made a triumphant return in The Flash, reprising his role as Batman, something once thought impossible, yet it sent the world into a frenzy. He was no longer the Dark Knight of the late 80s and early 90s, but he delivered a Bruce Wayne filled with wisdom and depth, reminding audiences that legends never truly fade. Michael Keaton doesn't need scandals to stay relevant, nor does he cling to his past. What makes him timeless is his sheer talent, his fearless commitment to his craft, and his relentless pursuit of reinvention. Hollywood is a place of temptations where fame can be a double-edged sword, but Michael Keaton has never been swayed by the glitz and glamour. While many of his contemporaries continue chasing commercial projects, he has taken an entirely different path, stepping back and living the life he truly desires. Keaton now owns a 1,000-acre ranch in Montana, where he enjoys the tranquility of nature, far from the chaos of Hollywood. Unlike the lavish mansions and extravagant lifestyles typical of movie stars, his ranch is a world apart, a place where he grows hay, raises livestock, and immerses himself in a slower, more peaceful rhythm of life. There are no cameras, no grand premieres, only endless skies and the absolute freedom he cherishes. But don't mistake his retreat for disappearance. Keaton still appears, at the right time, in the right place, and each return surprises audiences. He doesn't take roles just to stay relevant. He only chooses projects that genuinely excite him. From Birdman to Dopesick and his return in The Flash, Keaton proves that when he takes on a film, it's because it's worth it, not for fame or fortune. Outside of acting, Keaton pursues simple yet passionate hobbies: fly fishing, cycling, horseback riding, and skiing. He once shared that fishing is when he feels most at peace. No scripts, no performances, just him and the flowing water. It's not just a pastime, but a philosophy that defines his life, living in the moment, free from outside pressures. Keaton doesn't need noise to prove he's still here. He doesn't constantly appear on red carpets or chase roles just to maintain his celebrity status. Yet whenever he returns, he makes Hollywood take notice. Being reclusive doesn't mean being forgotten. For Michael Keaton, it's simply another way to shine. Unassuming yet undeniably extraordinary, Michael Keaton remains one of Hollywood's most unique actors. Versatile, resolute, unconventional, these three words perfectly define the path he has chosen. From comedy to superheroes, from hauntingly complex roles to a quiet life on a ranch, Keaton has never allowed himself to be confined by any mold. He may disappear from Hollywood for years, but when he returns, he always commands attention. He doesn't chase fame, nor does he take roles just to stay relevant. Keaton does what he wants in his own way. That's why he's not just an actor, he's a true icon. Which of Michael Keaton's performances impressed you the most? What do you think makes him so captivating? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay updated with more fascinating stories about Hollywood legends. See you in the next video.